Welcome to the Connectable podcast.
The Connectable podcast starts in 3, 2, 1.
Oh, dude, I've done it all the time. I'll literally say 30 seconds before we get on. It's like, how do you pronounce your name? They tell me, and then I just jack it up. So anyways, the voice you hear is not Deb's. If you were just listening, you could probably tell. And if you're watching this and you can't tell that this is not Deb, then I don't know how to help you. You guys need more help than I can give. But instead, Deb has tonight off, and I am sitting here with Jim Vretzos. See, man, I messed it up.
It's all good. It's all good.
He's the CEO of Greater Bay Protective Services, and he's also a tournament bass angler, which I definitely have a ton of questions about that because I don't really know exactly what that means, but I know you like to fish. If I put it in dummy terms.
Yeah, I do. I've loved to fish since I was little. And I don't know, we could talk about the story of starting to bass fish. It was, I've kind of bass fished all my life since I was little, but never owned a boat or anything like that. And then I moved. It's kind of weird because when my kids were young, I always wanted to fish. I wanted to fish tournaments, and I had never done it up till like a few years ago. So I coached my kids and both my girls in softball for a pretty long time. And then as they got into high school, I was like, we moved from the Bay Area up to Folsom.
Okay.
And I got involved with Folsom Bass Team, which is like just a regular bass fishing club, and you got a lot of good anglers in there. And I started with that, and I still didn't have a boat, so I would basically fish out of the back of the boat, and the boater would take charge of the front. And so we'd go fish these tournaments every month, and I learned a lot, and eventually I got a boat and started fishing, those tournaments, and then kind of trying to move on into doing some other tournaments with me at the front of the boat. And yeah, so I've been doing that for about 4 years now. So it's been fun, a very learning experience.
Yeah, for sure. Man, I have so many questions because we've had one fisherman on the show. He's actually a friend of mine, Happy. He does fly fishing, and
nice.
he's a fly fishing tour guide and all that stuff. So he's out there like
Nice.
Like being on the lookout for bears and stuff like that. But I told him when he came on, I said, listen, dude, I don't know anything about fishing. I've been fishing one time. Basically I went with a buddy of mine and his dad. We put the pole on the ground and we sat there right below the Rainbow Bridge, and that's like my only experience fishing. So I'm like, this is terrible. Like, I'd rather go hit a baseball. But what you do, from like what I understand, it's a very it's not sticking a pole in the ground and just waiting. Like, it's super interactive. No. It's sounds like it's pretty intense from what I understand.
It is.
And like you said, it's not just you out there, you have a team. So how many people, like give us a little bit of a breakdown of what a tournament looks like. Like, how does it work? How many people per team? Like, how does the scoring work? Like, are there certain boating? I mean, I want to know all of it, man, because I know nothing.
Yeah, no worries at all. So you have tournaments where they're team tournaments, and then there's some that are like a pro-am tournament. So you fish, basically, if you're fishing as a pro, you're fishing from the front of the boat, the amateurs fishing from the back of the boat. Most of the times they're shared weight, where you have your own weight, and you have to catch your own fish. So for example, I could be on the front of the boat, and the goal is to catch the 5 biggest fish. So you go out in the morning, you blast off with say 80 other boats. You take off, you go to your spots, you go fish, and your goal is to catch the 5 biggest fish. So basically, if I catch 5 fish and then I catch a 6th fish, we call it, what we call it is culling. So basically we'll cull one out. So we'll weigh one or put it on a balance beam type of scale thing. And the bigger one stays in the live well, and then the smaller one goes back. So okay. And then you weigh in at like, say 3 p.m. and you got a bag and fill it with water, and you go to the scales, and and you bring your best 5 in there. So yeah, and
That's crazy.
some of these tournaments have 80 anglers or 80 boats, I should say. Some of them will have 50 boats, and there's some that'll have 250. So it's
oh my gosh. So like, so 80
yeah,
is kind of somewhere in the middle.
I think so.
Okay.
I
To me,
believe
that
so.
sounds huge, but it sounds like, I mean, 250 boats. That seems
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah, it's big. And then you got, out here in Northern California, you got 2 of the best fisheries probably in the nation. Clear Lake is, I think, the top fishery as far as
Okay.
bass fishery in the nation. Then you got the California Delta, which produces huge bass, and it's big time there too. And then so then you got those tournaments, and then you got your pro-ams, you got your team tournaments where you're basically fishing with a partner,
Okay.
and then so you'll go out and fish a tournament with say 80 boats, and you guys keep your best 5. It's not 5 each, it's 5 total. So it's pretty fun, and it is intense. It's it's definitely like a job. I mean, I enjoy it. I
Man.
love the competition, the challenge, but yeah, it's definitely intense.
No, it sounds like it. Because I mean, and please forgive me, I don't know if you said this, but how long does like a tournament go? Is it multiple days? Is it only one day for a certain amount of time, or do they do it different ways?
Um, there are different ways. So there's some that are over over a day. They can be 2 or 3 days total. So basically, you could be fishing 2 days, and then if you make the top 10, you'll fish the last day.
Got it.
And then there's some that it's a 3-day tournament. For example, there's a tournament. It's put on by One Bass. It's a California Open. It's on Clear Lake every year, and it's a 3-day tournament. And
Okay.
basically, if you're fishing, basically you have amateur. So if I'm fishing on the front of the boat, I'll have a different non-boater each day, pretty
Got it.
much.
Okay.
And then your weight is combined each day. So basically, if we catch 18 pounds worth of fish, that day that he gets 18 pounds, I get 18 pounds, and then he goes with a different pro the next day, and I go with a different amateur the next day. So it's
Interesting.
it's a pretty fun setup, and yeah,
That's
it's
awesome.
fun. But then you have some that are only 1 day too. So
Okay. So more like
yeah,
a sprint. Interesting.
right.
I mean, it sounds like it's pretty intense. And are there people that are like, well, I'm sure there's people that are well known in that community, right? Where it's like, you see them roll up in their boat. It's like, oh man, it's gonna be a
Oh
rough day.
yeah,
Yeah. Just like
yeah,
killers out there, right?
yeah. They're just excellent, and it's like, you know, all I can do is try and learn from all these guys that are so good. I mean, they're like, really good. Like, I go out there and I'm like in awe how they catch fish, and it's like,
Yeah.
the patterns that they use, and they're so smart. They know the water. For example, I go out on the Delta, and it's like, I'll catch fish here and there. It's tough, whatever. But then, the Delta has tides, so the tides have a big play in how you fish, I
Okay.
guess. And a lot of these guys, man, they go out there and they know the Delta, and they know the tides, they know how everything works, the system it works, and they're straight sticks. I mean, they can really fish. So, and that goes for everywhere else too. But yeah, there's some guys out there. I mean, there's many guys out there that are well known,
Yeah.
and they've been doing it for a long time, and they're good. They're really good.
That's cool. So
Yeah.
obviously the conditions, like you were just mentioning, the conditions, them being able to read the conditions, understand, the different patterns, and, all of that stuff plays a huge factor. But I would imagine that if I don't know what the mindset of a fish is like, but if you see like 80 boats out there, like that's not a common thing, right? Like you would not necessarily see that many concentrated boats in one place. So does the presence of that many boats and that many people change? Like, does that play a factor? Like, do you have to have a different mentality? Like if you were just practicing, right? Or just like training, where
Right.
you're like maybe one of like a few boats on the water, and then you go to a tournament where there's all these boats. Like, does that affect the whole game, or is it not? Is that not how like fishing works?
I think it does. I think it puts pressure with that many boats on the water, say even for pre-fishing, and there's anglers out there constantly for a number of days fishing. I think it puts pressure on the fish a little bit, at least. And
Yeah.
it'll change things up a little bit, because there's also, like, you go fish a certain lake and there's also spots where they're like community holes basically, and you're gonna go
Mm.
there and you're gonna catch fish. But it's like, everybody goes there, and then eventually, the fish are pressured. I'm still trying to learn all that, but yeah.
I'm with you, man. I'm trying to learn all this stuff in 1 hour.
I thought I would have learned all this by now, but I've been doing this for not that long. But I'm constantly learning, and that's what motivates me, is to constantly learn from all these guys that are so good. I go out there with them and get to ride on their boat, and even someone that rides with me on my boat that's a co-angler. I always try and take something in that I've learned something from them to better my game.
Oh, and dude, I'm sure there's so much you can learn from some of these guys that have been doing it their entire life.
Oh,
Like, and it's
oh
like
yeah.
with any sport, right? Any athlete, any coach, like you have some of these guys and girls who have played the game for so long. It's like
Yeah.
they've learned and forgotten way more than I could ever learn from them. You know
Oh
what I
yeah.
mean? And so,
Yeah.
and I can't imagine, especially with a sport like that. Some of these guys have been doing it for so long. It's like, man,
Yeah.
and the crazy thing too is, and this is just like with anything, right? But like, especially like, look at golf, right? I'm not a golfer either, but I know that you have, if you go back 20 years, the technology and the equipment that they had then completely different than it is now. And so same thing with fishing, right? Like the equipment that some of these guys were using, back in the day is so much more advanced now. And so like they have that whole spectrum of knowledge. It's like, well, we used to use this, and then I've seen the progression of how much better everything's
Oh
gotten.
yeah.
Like it's just a wild thing. It's just, I'm sure it's a lot of fun picking their brain.
Yeah, it is. And speaking of like electronics and equipment that they use, it's so advanced now. It's almost like cheating, but it's not. It's like, who's going to use all that to the best of their ability, basically. That's the way I kind of look at it. Like, it's awesome stuff, and I'm like, God, I got to really like use this stuff to advance myself, and in practice I got to learn how to use these electronics, because now, I mean, they got the fish finders now that are, you can see the actual fish like in front of you, and you can see it following your bait, and
Really?
it's, oh yeah, it's intense. I mean, you can see all the structure, you can see all the the weed lines, the bushes, the rocks, 30-40 feet out, and there's fish on the rocks, and you can see it all underground. I mean, underwater sonar. It's pretty crazy. Some of these units are expensive too to put on your boat, and
Oh, I bet. That's
yeah.
cool. Now,
Yeah.
is that stuff allowed during competition or no?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you can have all the electronics you want. I think the only thing that you can't have is like an underwater camera, as
Okay.
far as like dropping a camera down, and
Okay. Got it. That's like the
yeah.
steroid equivalent. Like
Yeah,
no
yeah, to
cameras.
where you can
Okay.
actually see a picture of the fish. But
Okay.
yeah, it's like, who's going to use it the best? I look at it like that. Like, yeah, it's but you can get so much out of these electronics. It's like, to me, it's like, who's going to use it the best, to advance.
Yeah.
So
Well,
learning all that is a job.
oh, for sure. Well, it's almost like, I don't know if you ever experienced this, but I know I had some teachers when I was going through like high school who would say, hey, you get like a 3x5 note card of notes on this test, and you can bring it with you. Just whatever you can fit it on this piece of paper, you can bring with you. And like, you'll hear teachers say, it's like, we don't, like, the people that are actually studying, they can bring it, they're not going to need it, because they
Right.
know what they're doing. And then the person who's trying to like put everything on there so they can basically ace this test, it's like that person's going to struggle because they don't really know the information. It seems like kind
Right.
of the same thing. It's like, you can have all the
Exactly.
fancy stuff you want, but unless you know how to use
Exactly.
it,
It
like,
doesn't matter. You can have the fanciest boat, you can have the best graphics. I mean, the best graphs, I should say, but the best rods and reels. You can have the best setup, but if you don't, I mean, that doesn't make the fish bite. So
right. Well, it's interesting too, because I think, and I know I would have, having conversations with people who do a lot of fishing over the last like 10 years, my perspective has definitely changed. But I think when I was younger, I always assumed that fishing was just luck. Like you go out, you try some bait. If it works, great. If not, it just wasn't your day. But it sounds like based on what you're saying, there's so much more to it. And some of the best, best people who do these tournaments it's not really, and there's probably a little luck involved, but for the most part, there is a skill, there is some strategy to it. And, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah. There is some luck.
Sure.
But, the guy that's so consistent on every body of water and just crushes it every time, I mean, that's not luck. That's right. It's like consistency. So there's always a little bit of luck, but at the same time, I mean, you get those guys that are always in the top 10, and it's like, because they know what they're doing. So they're good.
There's a reason for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Is there a lot of trash talk like between boats, or is that not really a thing?
I don't like it's, I've seen trash talk as far as like if someone's like poaching someone's spot, like in a 2-day tournament or something like that. And
sure,
that guy's been on that spot all day one and he's kind of in the lead. And then you get some other person that comes and tries to creep up on a spot, that person they'll go back and forth. I've seen that happen before, but I mean, just your normal trash talk. And but it's a pretty good community as far as all the anglers and stuff. We all try to get along. I mean, they're pretty cool.
Oh, that's cool. No, I was just curious because obviously I love sports. Deb and I did a sports podcast like we were talking about a little bit before that we started recording. And, obviously when you watch sports, like other sports, you're on the same court or on the same field. So you can people are bumping chests. They're not really going to fight, but they act like it. You know what I mean? And it's I just had this picture of these guys on fishing boats where they can't really bump chests. They really can't get in each other's face, but they're yelling at each other from boat to boat. But it's cool though. It seems like it's a pretty cool community where that's not really the case, but
it's pretty cool.
Like you said though, if you have someone kind of poaching someone's spot, like it sounds like there's probably some like unwritten rules, some like almost like respect the game type things out there. And it seems like, well, just like you hear those stories of people surfing in Hawaii, right? Like the locals are super protective of a place like Pipeline, right? Because they know how dangerous it is. And then, you have some person from, California coming in there thinking they can surf and dropping in on someone. And all of a sudden, they're getting beat up by the locals because they're so protective of that spot.
Sure.
But I imagine probably not to that same extent, but I'm sure that everybody in that, community has some certain things. And I don't know if they've had to educate people that are new to the community when they come through, but, talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think people have been talked to before, like if you get a rookie out there, I mean, it's so intense. Like you go out there and you want to do so good and you go to a spot and where, there's fish and, people are catching them and, then you got the leader that's been there. It's like you don't want to take his water out of respect. You want to just be kind of like, hey, you know what? Even though I know I can catch him there, and I'd probably do good there, but that guy's been there, and he's leading the tournament. I'm in 90th place. It's like, how good is that gonna? I mean, it's not gonna make me look good. So that's something like, as much as you want to go catch fish and be like, oh God, that's a great spot. I can catch a couple fish there. I could probably move up 20 spots. But that guy's in the lead and he's just like focused and he's on that water. It's been his water for the last day. I'd probably leave it alone.
That makes sense. It makes sense. Like you said, a respect thing for sure. Are there age divisions or does it matter? I mean, because this sounds like the way you're describing it, it does sound like a physical thing. And we've never met in person, but just from this video, you seem like a big dude. So like a pretty big, strong dude. I don't know if that's the truth. I don't know if it's the camera. I don't know if it's camera tricks, but
it's the camera.
Hey,
I made it wider.
I need to do the same thing, add some muscle to my frame. But no, but it seems like you're like a dude that's in pretty good shape. So is that something that plays a factor when you're out there, or is it just like an open age division, or do they have different breakdowns like that, or how does that work?
um, as far as like if you can have like, I think
I guess sorry, that was like two. I kind of got sidetracked. There's kind of two questions. One, is it broken down by age division, and then the physicality of it does that play a factor? If you're in better shape, does that give you more of an advantage, or can really
yeah,
anybody do it and compete in a tournament?
yeah. And so let's take the first one first. I think in some fast tournaments like a series, they have an age group to where they have younger kids that can ride on the boat with the boater, and they fish for their own fish, and then they're, whatever they catch is amongst all the kids. So like 12, 13, 10-year olds or something like that.
Okay.
But there's some kids, I think, to fish. I don't know if there's an age group, I mean an age requirement. I don't know if it's like 16 or 18. I'm not sure, but I fished with a couple younger kids that are like really good, and they were like seniors in high school. And I mean,
Uh-huh.
these young kids are good, uh, straight up as far as that goes.
Yeah.
And as far as being in shape too, I think it plays a role. I mean, you're on your feet like most of the day. You're on the trolling motor,
Yeah.
and I mean, we have the option to put a pedestal seat on the front and kind of sit on it or lean on it. And I feel like that makes me a little lazier. I'd rather just stand the whole time and be on the trolling motor. But you pay the price later.
Sure.
My
Sure.
at the end of the day, after fishing for 8 hours or 9, 10 hours, whatever, like my lower back is just, everything's tight. My legs are tight. So I think the better shape you're in as far as weight wise,
Yeah.
the better off you'll be, because trust me, yeah, it can be grueling.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude. Yeah. So like you said, on your feet for 8 hours. I mean, yeah, that's taxing for sure. So I can
Yeah.
imagine that that's like with anything. I
Yeah.
think being in better shape helps everything. But
It helps
I was,
everything. You're a lot quicker
yeah,
on your feet. You're able to like move better. You feel better about yourself. But I was weighing like 221 over the last several years. And then, I mean, it's just from like working, like I wasn't working out at all or anything like that. So I tried losing some weight, doing some spin classes with my wife, and
okay.
I dropped down like 10 pounds. But I think I noticed the difference. Like when I'm on the water, like I don't get tired as quick. I'm not as sore when I come off the water. I just feel better energy. So
Oh yeah, for
I
sure.
only lost like 10 pounds, but
Hey man, it's
it
still
feels
10
it
pounds.
feels good.
There
It
you go.
feels good.
That's
Yeah.
the main thing. Hey, we'll say you hear people say that all the time. It's like it was only 10 pounds, but I like to think the rest
Yeah.
of it was converted to muscle, which weighs, more than fat.
What?
So
Yeah,
yeah, it's all
exactly.
good. It's all good. Well, that actually, we kind of just jumped right into it, but usually we start the podcast off by explaining how we're connected to our guests. I got a little distracted because I screwed up your name after I told you I wasn't going to. And again,
It's all
it
right.
happens. But so the way we're connected, and you mentioned the spin class thing.
Hmm.
So we got connected because every once in a while on Fridays on Instagram, we'll post a question just saying, "Hey, give us a connection suggestion. Let us know who we should be following, and whether it's a restaurant, brand, organization, whatever it is, let us know." And our friend of the show, Ryan Hughes, who was on an episode a little while ago, she actually submitted your name and said Greater Bay Protection Services, and so or protective services. And it's like, okay, cool. And so we started following each other from that point on. And then we just kind of started messaging, and, here we are. We kind of talked about you being on the podcast, and, like I was telling you, and like anybody who wants to be on the show, just know that if we don't know someone coming into a show, I always, before we say yes to having them on the show, I like to say, hey, who do we know that knows them? And then, kind of go through a vetting process. And so I reached out to Ryan. She's like, oh yeah, Jim's awesome. And she said a lot of nice things about you. So
Thank you.
once
I'll
I
make sure I
heard
tell
that,
her thank you.
yeah,
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 she's
for
cool.
sure. Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah.
Her and PJ are great. And so once I heard that, I'm like, all right, I guess he's gonna be on the show. So, and here we are. So
Yeah.
it's cool. It's always fun. Like sometimes we have people on the show that we know really well, and then sometimes we have people on the show that we don't know. And this is actually our first time meeting. So anyways, just want to give everybody a little bit of a background on how we're connected. But you mentioned spin class, and I know she was big into that world for quite a while. So
Oh
it
yeah.
just reminded me to circle back to the connection there. So I had another question. Oh, so let me ask you some just dumb questions about fishing. Like I said, these are amateur questions.
It's all right. I'm an
what's
amateur, so
oh,
it's all
well,
good.
if you're an amateur, I don't know what I am. I'm just not a fisherman at all. But what's the biggest fish you've caught?
Biggest bass I've caught is a 902.
Okay.
A 902, and that was on Folsom Lake. So that's my personal my personal best as far
Nice.
as biggest fish. I've caught striped bass. I've caught sturgeon that were bigger, but other than that, as far as the bass scene goes, it's a 902.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you
I'm
this.
trying to get to that over 10.
Okay.
It's like
it's gonna happen.
tough. It will. Someday,
it will happen for sure. Yeah. You'll have to let us know when it does, and then we'll
absolutely.
We'll put that out there.
Trust me, I'll be telling everybody.
That's right, man. Hey, we'll help you brag about it. It's like, hey, just so you guys know, Jim just hit that 10 mark. So
yeah, man, that would be awesome.
What's that? So obviously you always hear the jokes about like guys and their fishing stories and like, the fish tales and stuff like that. So how do I want to word this? What's the story? You don't have to mention names, or if you want to mention names, you can, but like, what's a story that someone told you, you're like, okay, was the fish really that big? Because I'm sure you've heard some stories where it makes you kind of look at him side eye, like, dude, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, from someone that fishes tournaments, I haven't heard too many stories as far as like, oh my god, I caught
a whale.
I caught a bass that was 18 pounds and it came off. Never nothing like that. But I do hear stories all the time. I mean, and I think everybody hears it. Oh yeah, I could have been in like top 10, but I had 4 fish break off, and or I had a giant break off. You hear that all the time. It's
sure.
I mean, it is what it is. It's like, I mean, I've had it happen, but I don't know. I think there's always an excuse.
yeah. No, it's like I could have pitched for the Giants, but things happen. Like, I mean, like everybody.
Yeah, it's like, I hurt my shoulder.
Yeah, shoulder. The coach didn't like me. All that stuff. That was the problem.
Yeah.
That's funny. No, I'm just always fascinated because I know, like, I don't know about you, but I've played plenty of adult recreational sports, softball, all those different things. And it's the worst out there, man. Like, it's like, oh, I would have caught that fly ball, but like, we're playing a day game. The sun was like, dude, the sun was behind you. There's
always an excuse.
Yeah.
There's always an excuse. There's
they didn't cut the grass.
Excuses.
Right. Well, and my thing has always been like, the more excuses you make, the less likely I'm going to believe you when something actually legit happens. Right. If you're someone who doesn't make excuses and is not constantly looking for a reason why it wasn't your fault, and then something happens, then I'm more likely to believe you, right? So like in your case, like you said, if you're someone's constantly making these excuses, like, oh, I had all these fish and they just kept getting away, and then you finally something legit happens, I'm probably not going to buy your story, man. But
right, yeah, and it's like this. There's been times where people say, oh, my trolling motor broke, or my big motor went down. We had boat problems, and I get it. I mean, you get boat problems, and
sure.
It probably ends a day quick. But an example is I fished down at Las Vegas at Lake Mead for a tournament, and I fished as a non-boater, and the guy that I was scheduled to fish with the second day, it was a 3-day tournament. The second day, his motor blew up, actually caught on fire.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So, and he's a real good angler. And so I talked to him that night. I go, hey, I heard your motor caught on fire, or And he said, he goes, yeah, don't worry. We'll just, when we blast off in the morning, we'll just take the trolling motor and just go out. And this lake is huge. It's Lake Mead. He goes, we'll just go out here and we'll catch them. Don't worry. So it's like, you know, there's so much confidence in his voice when he said, hey, don't even worry. It's like, we don't even have to go far. We'll just go 100 yards here and we'll be on the trolling motor all day and we'll just fish these areas and we'll do fine. And we did. And,
Wow.
you know, he didn't give any excuses. He just said, hey, it is what it is. We got to make the best of it. So
yeah, that's the mentality. That's just a good life mentality for sure. You
oh
know,
yeah,
the people that have that mentality are I think always gonna do well, just because, you know, the little things aren't gonna get them down. So no, that's awesome. I had a oh man, I had a question. What was it? I can't remember. Oh no, this is what it was. So sorry, man. This is what happens. It's a good thing Deb's not here, because if Deb was here, there'd be so many more sidetracks. You're stuck with me.
really?
So there's oh dude,
It's all good.
dude. There's sometimes my brother listens to this show and he's been on the show before, and sometimes he's like, yeah, listen to the most recent one. He's like, I forgot what you guys were talking about, because you and Deb went on so many sidetracks. I'm like, yeah, this is what happens.
That's good though. That's a good thing.
I think so. It keeps the conversation moving, and it keeps the conversation
absolutely.
hopefully interesting. We'd have to find out from our listeners if that's true. Not for our guests, but for us, who are supposed to be the host of this whole thing, driving the ship. But so when you and I, so we were actually supposed to do this podcast a few weeks ago, but there was some miscommunication between us.
Right.
But that day you were actually going. The reason you couldn't do it that night was because you were going down to get your new boat, I believe.
Right. Yeah.
So that's pretty. Congrats on that, man. That's pretty cool. And
thank you. Yeah.
I don't know if
excited.
Oh, for sure, dude. Well, especially I don't know where you keep this boat, but like if you kept it in your garage or on the side of your house, whatever it may be, like how many times did you just go out there and just like look at the boat? Was it just like all the time? It's like someone getting a new toy
every night.
Every night. You just sit there, right?
Yeah. I just look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey.
I went out there today several times. It's just sitting right there. I'll always like tinker around. I love playing with tackle too, my fishing tackle. I love just messing around with everything around it, in the boat, out of the boat, just keeping my tackle organized. And I know it's kind of ADD or whatever, but I don't know.
But is that seems like something that would be almost like relaxing? Is that like something that you can just relax?
It is. Yeah. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I enjoy it for sure.
Well, I think that's how you know you're passionate about something too. When someone is passionate about the finer details of something, because if I was to say like, hey, I enjoy fishing, and then you start asking me all these questions, I'm like, I don't know. I don't even know what you're talking about. Like I just like going on the water, putting, you know, the pole in the ground and just sitting there. It's like, okay, so you fish every once in a while, but like someone who actually is passionate about fishing or passionate about something like you are, it's like, no, man, I just go out and sit in my boat. It's not even on the water. I just go out there, sit in the boat. I'm, you know, messing with the tackle, all that stuff. Like that, to me, that's cool, man. That's why, you know, it's cool having you on this podcast to kind of explain what you do, because I think those are the people we want to have conversations with, because it's not just like you enjoy the finer things. Like I'm sure I'm like this with this podcast. My wife's like, I'm not interested in hearing what kind of mic or headphones or light that you're using. She's like, it's fine. Like just go do your podcasting thing. I'm like, yeah, but it's kind of cool, right? And she's like, yeah, not really. But you know what I mean? Like I love this stuff, or whether it would be sports, whatever. So that's cool, man. Like it's cool to hear that you have that kind of passion for it, where, you know, you're able to just sit out there and mess with the tackle or the.
Oh yeah. And I'll FaceTime my good buddy, who's actually my team partner. I'll FaceTime him and I'll just put I'll put the phone, I'll just lay it in the boat and I'll be messing around and he'll be in his boat and we'll be like, and we won't even say something, like, or we'll talk and we won't be listening to each other, or we'll just like just doing work. So it's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How long
we enjoy it.
So how long did you I'm sure you've wanted a boat for a long time, but like what was, because I mean, that's a big purchase, you know. So how long did it take you to, I mean, I don't know what your personality is like. Was that something that as soon as you're like, hey, I want a boat, and you were able to do it, you just did it? Or was there like a lot of research? Was there a lot of, you know,
there was a lot of research, and then I felt like I wasn't ready to I mean, I shouldn't say I wasn't ready, but like I was just getting into the bass. I always wanted to do fish tournaments. And so I started off with the Folsom Bass team. Um, After a year and a half, I became the president of the Folsom Bass team, which was really cool. I had that opportunity. And then I did that for 2 years. And I always fished as a co-angler. So basically every month they do a tournament and they do a random draw. So you get paired up with a boater. So I did that for a few years, and because I wanted to learn it so much. And then I finally said, you know what, I want to like go to the front of the boat. So I need to get a boat. So in 2017, I bought I started fishing tournaments in the end of 14. And I bought a boat in 2017, and then I sold my old boat to my team partner, and now I got a new one. I got a 2022, so I'm excited.
Nice. Have you how many times have you taken it out since you got it?
So far, I've taken it out 3 times.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've taken it out. There's a break-in period of a few hours to break in the motor. So you have to kind of take it easy and then kind of open it up and run it a little bit. So there's a procedure on how to do that. But I live right up the street from Folsom Lake, and right now I can't go out there. And like it's 5 miles per hour. So I went to Lake Pardee, which is no recreation boats or anything like that. It's only fishing boats. You can't get in the water. No jet skis or anything. So I just went there. The water levels were pretty good, and I was able to like fish and then at the same time break the motor in. So it worked out nice.
Man, I'm learning something. I'm learning, like, each time you say something, I'm learning something new, because I didn't know you had to break in a boat. What you just said sounded exactly how I had to break in my Traeger. Like there was like a process, like an hour process.
Yeah, exactly.
That thing in. Had no clue. I thought you just got that bad boy in the water and just started going. But it makes sense that you have to break it in.
Yeah, you got to break it in and make sure it's, I mean, there's like a break-in period. It's a 4-stroke motor, so it's like you don't need or the 2 strokes before. I believe you needed like every 20 hours, or I don't know how many hours you needed to do like a tune-up on it or whatever. But on these motors, it's every 100 hours. You can run it 100 hours until you have to bring it in to get it maintenance done on it, regular maintenance.
Oh, I guess
it's pretty cool.
Sense. That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Do you have a name for your boat?
I don't. It's all white.
Oh, okay.
I need to name it. I know all these guys name their boats. I'm like, no.
Oh man, see, I thought for sure you had named your boat. You know what I mean? Like a fishing guy, a boat guy. I'm like, oh yeah, he's got a name for sure. Okay, that was the one answer I wasn't expecting. No name. Is that in the future? Is there?
Maybe. A buddy of mine called it White Lightning, which was pretty cool. So I might.
Oh, it's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's corny to have a. I don't know. I don't know if people name their boats unless it's like a yacht or something. But you never know. I don't know.
That's a good point. See, man, I know nothing about boats either. See, I think that I've never wanted a boat. Like it's always fun to go out on a boat with people and stuff like that, but I've never wanted one, partially because I always get nervous for those people that are backing boats into the water from like a truck. You know what I mean? Because I've been to the lake plenty of times where you can tell who's the pro. It's like, oh, that person knows what they're doing. And then you see the other truck, it's like you just want to you almost waste your entire day just watching that person because you know something bad's going to happen.
Something bad's going to happen.
Something horrible going to happen.
Go to any ramp during the summer. It's like you'll see it. You'll see all these guys. I don't know. I mean, you got to start somewhere, I guess. And it
just sucks though, because that's like a big mistake, right? Potentially. It's not like
it can be.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like if you go do something else and you make a mistake, it's like, it's inconvenient. That's a very expensive mistake. Like you said, and it's a weird thing though, right? Because like you said, you have to figure it out. But you have to figure it out. You have to figure it out, and it's tough. Because I've made my share of mistakes as far as backing down boats or trailers, and you have to learn somehow. But yeah, it can be an expensive mistake. It makes me nervous when I've done stuff before. I think most people have where you're doing something and you're amongst a bunch of people and you feel like everybody's watching you. And let's be honest,
Oh yeah.
when people are backing a boat down there and you can tell it's kind of dicey, there are a lot of people watching you and they're just waiting to see
Oh
if you're
yeah,
going to do
for
something
sure.
correct. And so correctly. So that's what makes me just nervous about that whole thing. So I don't know. Yeah, but you're right though. Anytime you go to like Folsom Lake or any place with a ramp, you're bound to
Yeah.
see someone.
You're gonna see something.
You're gonna see something.
You're gonna see someone. They're jackknifing their stuff. They're all up in the rocks. You know, they leave their motor down and they go up the ramp with their motor down, and it's just dragging.
Oh,
There's all kinds of different stuff that could happen.
oh, right. Well, and those ramps are concrete, right? So you're here, you hear that sound too, and you can even if you're not looking and you're like far away, you can tell that sound. It's like, oh, there's a boat issue. Someone hit the ramp
for sure.
Yeah.
For
yeah.
sure.
Not for me, but no, that's cool, man. Well, like I say, congrats on getting the boat. That's a
Thank
big
you.
deal for sure, man.
Oh yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Let me ask you this too, because I think I asked, like I said, our guest Happy about, what this, I asked him this question and I'm just curious what your thoughts are. So far, what has been your favorite fishing spot? Like, what's your favorite place to go? And then what is a dream spot that you've never been, but like if money was no object, time was no object, like I would go to this spot for sure.
As far as a specific lake,
yeah.
Well, my favorite lake to fish would probably be, or fishery would probably be, Clear Lake.
Okay.
Yeah, they got some. I mean, it's a great place to fish. The water's low right now, but I mean, it's still fishing good. The water's low everywhere. But as far as a place that I'd like to go, I'd probably like to go fish somewhere out in Wisconsin.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. I think somewhere out in Wisconsin. I think it's the Sturgeon Bay area. I think as far as like the smallmouth bass fishing is really good there. So, and my wife's got family out there, so it'd be like other than not fishing in California, I think that would probably be a good place for me to go.
Nice. No,
Yeah.
I'm sure it's probably beautiful there too.
Yeah.
So is there like, I mean, it sounds like obviously this is, a pretty tight community. It sounds like there's quite a few tournaments. What is like the World Series or the Super Bowl of like these bass tournaments?
We have the Bass Master Class. So there's different circuits. You got BASS. They have the Bassmaster Classic, which is you got to qualify to be in, and it's once a year. And then you have all the championships for MLF, which is Major League Fishing.
Mm-hmm.
And they have, I think they just had it, and I think it might have been in Wisconsin where they were at. So that was a championship that they had there, I believe. But
Okay.
It's probably the Bassmaster Classic is like the Super Bowl of fishing.
Okay. And how many people are in that one?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay.
I don't know. I don't think it's. I'm thinking like maybe 80 something around there. I don't.
Got it.
And they're fishing solo. It's not like they have a partner, and they'll have a cameraman on the boat.
Got it.
Yeah,
Hey.
They won't have an amateur. It's all pros stuff. And
okay.
Yeah.
So a cameraman on every boat. That's 80 cameras. If it's 80 people, that's a lot of cameramen too.
Oh yeah. They have
crazy production.
They'll run it's a crazy production. It is.
Man, so this is not something you can do on the ocean, is it? Like, I mean, obviously not for bass, right? But like, do they do like these kind of tournaments on oceans too, or?
I think they do, as far as like for like bigger fish, as far as like ocean fish or whatever, like sailfish or something like that.
Got it. Okay.
I think that kind of fish.
Okay. You have any desire to try that type of thing?
No,
not
much. Really. I mean, it'd be fun. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, it's I'm sure there's a lot of money involved You know what I mean? To
Yeah.
the cost. And I mean, just like this sport, it's so expensive. And, to get everything dialed in and be competing, and it's expensive.
Is
So
there,
I'm
is that
I'm assuming with something out in the ocean, it's probably twice as big, and
right?
the gear is probably twice as expensive. And yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Is there a big, because you mentioned the price, is there a big gap between someone who just wants to do this for fun versus someone who wants to compete? Because I'm sure that's like it for any activity or any sport. But I mean,
Yeah.
is there like a really big gap between an amateur, just like someone who, not even an amateur, I want to say like someone who just does it for fun, and then someone who wants to compete? Like, is there like a massive gap there?
I say, so there's so I'm fishing a tournament at Lake Mead this year. And I believe it was like $600, but I'm fishing as a co-angler. So because I don't really know that lake that well, so I wouldn't want to waste anybody's time taking them to spots that I don't know. I'm
Sure.
fishing as a boater. And I think the cost for the boater, I think might be 15 to 1800, I think, somewhere around there. So I
Okay.
think there's probably like $1,000 difference.
Yeah. Okay.
But as
That's a
far as
decent
your
amount.
winnings will probably be a lot different too.
Oh,
So
oh,
it's like
interesting.
if you win like a big fish prize, or something like that, it can be, I'm sure the winnings will probably be a little different.
What do the winnings look like? So for example, the person who wins the tournament, what would that, look like just roughly?
So a friend of mine won the California Open, which was on Clear Lake. And he won, I think he won like 20 something thousand dollars plus a 19
Dang.
foot a 19-foot boat, which is probably valued around 40,000 at
Wait, hold on.
least.
So he won a cash prize and a boat?
I believe so.
Dang. Maybe I have to learn this fishing
Don't get
thing.
mad if you hear this, but
Yeah,
yeah.
maybe that's pretty
Busting
good.
you out.
Maybe I need to try this. Try this fishing thing. 20,000 and a
Yeah,
boat.
yeah, he's real good. He got on fish, and uh he was expected to win it though. I think
Oh, okay.
he's good. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
almost like, yeah, that's interesting. Can you imagine these guys that are just monsters at this fishing thing, and they just keep winning all these boats? Like, what do you do with all these boats at a certain point, right? It's like I
yeah,
have 15 boats. I just keep winning these tournaments. Like, what am I supposed to
yeah.
do
You
with them?
you sell them.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, they just sell them.
That's the way to do
But
it. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I would try to become friends with that guy, I think. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It's like, I know
Oh
he's
yeah,
he's going to win a tournament sooner or later, and then I might get a boat out of it. So that's not a bad friendship.
yeah. And then you have like, um, these national tournaments. If you win that, it's like 100 grand you're winning. But
Dang.
I mean, that's the best of the best in the world, and
Sure.
it's tough.
Yeah, no, I bet. I didn't realize there was so much money in it. Like I
Yeah,
said,
there's a lot.
yeah. So it's yeah, it sounds like it's an expensive thing to get into, but if you're really a diehard and you plan on competing, then the payout could be, pretty beneficial, it sounds like.
Right. Yeah,
That's
if you're
cool.
good.
Yeah, yeah, if you're good. Well, maybe I won't do it after all. Like I said,
Yeah, me either.
you know what I mean? At 20,000 sounds nice, but yeah, I'm probably not at that level. So I don't even
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
I don't even know how to do it. So, well, let's switch the direction just a little bit, because I want to be, before we get out of here, because we've already been talking for a little while. Yeah, the conversation is flying by.
I
Sometimes
know. It's
in these
good.
conversations, man, I just feel like
I
I'm
like it.
learning all this stuff, and then the time just goes. But obviously, like I said when I introduced you, you're not only a tournament bass angler, but you're also the CEO, the founder of Greater Bay Protective Services. So, tell us a little bit about that. When did you start it? Why did you start it? And what do you guys do?
Yeah, I started it in 1995, January 95. I was 24 years old. Um, I worked as a asset protection officer at Costco,
Hmm.
in Martinez, actually, years ago. When I think 20 to 24, um, while going to college at the same time, and I majored in marketing management. So I kind of always wanted to uh, own my own business or go into business. be an entrepreneur, but at the same time, I always liked the law enforcement aspect of things, and wasn't sure if I wanted to become a police officer. I just wasn't sure, and I kind of just started tinkering with the law enforcement. I went to I got hired on by Costco to do their asset protection, and from there, I kind of liked, the law enforcement thing. In any case, so I kind of put the two together, and I started a private security company. And my goal was to just see, like, if I can even get any clients. And I forgot how much money I wanted to make in the first year. Like just get one client. I think it was like $9,000 or $10,000 for the year, just to see if I can do it. And if I remember correctly, I believe like our first year we made like $70,000, and then the second year it was like 300 something, and the third year was like we doubled that. We were like at 700,000 in sales, but it grew really fast. I wasn't prepared for the growth. I put in a lot of hours. I worked a lot myself in uniform, just to start the business off. I mean, I don't work out in the field anymore, but it was just a lot of work. But yeah, that's how I pretty much started. I always wanted to do something in business, and I found that niche, and it's
Sorry, man. I muted myself.
oh, okay.
I cleared my throat earlier, muted myself, forgot to unmute it.
It's okay.
That's happened one other time. They're like, I don't know what you're saying. Like, oh yeah, hey dum dum, unmute yourself. Okay. So yeah, so that's interesting. So you, like, obviously that's awesome, man. You found that niche, and then you started to grow pretty rapidly, which is cool.
Yeah.
That's interesting too, because I mean, I don't know anything about that industry. I don't know anything, about the private security world, but it seems crazy that it would grow that rapidly. So there must be a pretty decent size, I guess, need for it.
Oh yeah.
And so I guess I wouldn't have expected it, because I guess I just don't know, like, what kind of clientele you have. I mean, when I hear private security, I'm thinking, like a certain type of person, like a certain type of like they're at a certain echelon, right? Like they're
Right.
a certain level or status of person where they really need that protection. But it sounds like, I mean, probably a lot of people are interested in that kind of service.
Yeah, and there's you talking about different level. There is different levels, and you got all kinds of different avenues you can go. You can go the uniform guard services, like at your shopping centers and apartment communities that require those type of services. Then you have, concierge type services where they work in a lobby, and they help customers that come through the door. And then you have facility security, where like at a pharmaceutical firm, to where you have access control officers working, those spots. And then you have parking enforcement, and then you have commercial buildings, high-rise security. And I mean, if you look everywhere, like especially in cities where they're like a busy city, like Sacramento,
Sure.
every building they probably have a security officer walk in a parking garage, or walk in a shopping center, walk in a commercial building, a government building. So there's security. The need for security is huge, right? And especially right now, everybody is with all this that's going on. A lot of people are desperate, and there's desperate times, and the crime is on the rise. Homelessness is on the rise, and I'm not saying that being homeless is that bad of a thing, but when you have drugs involved, and they some are mentally challenged from taking drugs, there's these people are on the properties, on private property, just causing damage. And so there's a need for security, to get these areas cleaned up. And, we can only do so much, but it definitely helps. And I mean, so we provide services, security services in like Walnut Creek, Antioch, Pittsburgh, throughout the Bay Area, San Jose, Oakland, Richmond, Vallejo, all the way up through Sacramento, Roseville, all the way up here.
Awesome. Yeah. So that makes more sense. Like, I don't know why I was thinking like, private security for like a celebrity, you know what I mean? But like,
we do that too. We've definitely done that as well. And it all depends on who the clientele is. We've done corporate security. We've done security for traveling executives, attorneys that are high profile and they just want someone to ride with them to the airport. We do escorts for meetings, just a wide array of security services that we provide. We provide event staff for one big contract that we used to have was for Sears Point Raceway, Infineon Raceway.
Oh yeah.
In Sonoma. So we did that for probably I think 5 years. We did all their races 24/7. I mean, it was a huge contract, and we met a lot of celebrities that would show up there to the races, and it was a good thing. It opened up a lot of avenues and doors for us and opportunities. It was good.
That's awesome. I have a couple questions. I don't know if you feel comfortable answering this one. 2 questions that you may not feel comfortable answering. I don't know. So obviously I've been, I'm not going to say where I work, but places I've worked in the past and, different places I've been, you see the security guards, and there's a lot of these places I'm like, I don't know if I can trust that dude to secure anything, because you just look at him, you know what I mean? And so
absolutely,
it's a weird thing. So like, why is that? Because you look at other places and it's like, oh, that person is clearly a security guard. They might be a professional wrestler. I don't know, but it's a massive human being that looks like they could just like snap people in half. And then you look at other people, it's like they're not going to scare anybody. So like, why is that? Like, why is it just the level of security that's needed at that place? And some places you just need a presence, and then other places you actually need someone who can handle business.
Yeah, it's and here's the thing, it can go both ways. We have clients that some clients don't always want to pay for. I mean, you get what you pay for, and at the same time, you know what I mean.
I'm sorry, that is like, but I'm picturing what you just. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm picturing what you just said with a very specific security guard that used to work at my workplace like 10 years ago, and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah. So a lot of times that's a big issue, but yeah, it's what the client. It's like what you just said, as far as there's different levels of security officers that are in uniform, and a lot of clients sometimes only want a warm heartbeat. And and I hate to say it, and
I get it.
But we try and separate ourselves. But I must say we have hired officers that don't look the part.
Sure.
And you're going like, hey, why did we hire this guy? This guy looks like we should be watching him. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to lie. We've had that issue before. We've had that issue before, and I think it continues to happen in some companies. It's all about how you weed it out and how you go through your employees and kind of weed the ones out that you think might not do you any good. So and it falls back on your management staff, your quality of hiring, and your training. And I say this day in, day out. It's like, who's training? Like, you need to train these guys. Like,
Right.
if they're a security, I mean, you need to train them the way you want them to perform. And so yeah, I mean, I think we've all gone through that, as far as like, God, this guy looks like, he should be watched. So
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Or it's like,
yeah,
are you competing in the next Nathan's hot dog eating contest? Like, I can't tell what's going on here. You know what I'm
exactly.
saying? Because like you're
Yeah,
not
yeah.
like, I'm just like, I'm
And
watching my
it,
car more closely than you're watching my car, because I don't trust you to save anything in my, if someone breaks into my car, I'm gonna get down the steps faster than you're gonna make it to, from the front desk.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah. And then you have some clients that are like, hey, we want our business watched, we want this building watched, we're going to pay you top dollar, or I shouldn't even say top dollar, we're going to pay you good to where you can take care of that employer to where they want to work. That way, the company's making money, the employee's making money, you're getting a good quality person.
Right.
And that's the most important thing, is to get that quality and for that employee to be happy. Because at the end of the day, you want your employees, to be happy. You want to take care of them. And I think that's huge. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I know. I didn't mean to put you on the spot with that one, man. And I just want to make it clear.
You got me.
Everybody who's listening,
No, that's all good.
This is, to be honest with you, all the places that I've been and worked, I have not seen Greater Bay Protective Services securing that building. So I just want to make that very clear. I'm thinking of another company that, each time they send someone new, it's like, ooh, nothing out there is safer than it was if no one was standing there. But to what you were saying, like, it's almost, I guess it's almost like with your home, right? Some people have a really high level security system with cameras and sensors and all that stuff. And some people just and some people might have a dog, like a German Shepherd, and then some people have like the sticker they put in their yard. They don't actually have,
little sign.
it's like you don't have that, you don't have Brinks, but you put it there just so they think that you do. Shout out to Brinks. If you guys want to sponsor the podcast, that'd be fantastic. But you know what I mean? That's kind of what it seems like. Same thing with the security guard. Like, you might have like you said, a warm body, a heartbeat. I remember one dude that was at my place of work. He was like, every day he was trying to sell someone on some multi-level marketing thing. It's like, hey man,
gosh,
you should be on the front of the building. And he was just always sitting in like this really cool part of the building, not securing the outside. I'm like, this is not going to work. And he didn't last too long, and he didn't sell any of this insurance that he was trying to sell either. So it was just all around an L for that guy. But
for sure.
It's interesting, man. Like, it definitely depends on when you go. Like, I've definitely gone to some places and you see the security, and it's like, oh, I don't know for sure, but that guy seems like he was probably ex-military. Like, he just has that presence, and he actually seems like someone who's going to secure, like, this place seems safer because this person's there. And like I said, other times, I don't.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
Image. I think image goes a long way. I mean, the way you look, and you don't necessarily have to be huge, a big guy, but just carry yourself in a professional manner, look professional in uniform. Don't be sloppy. Look good. Look sharp, and you're going to get the respect. And if you're sloppy and you don't care about what you look like, and bringing the image down of the company, then you're not going to get the respect. And next thing you know, we have problems. So yeah, to me, I think image goes a long way. Image and training. You need to look good, and you need to behave well. And I think you'll be all right. So you could probably do it.
Yeah, me. I don't know, man. Now I definitely can't. I made fun of these other dudes too much. I have to eat my, like, that guy's not going to secure the building. Josh, please, no way. But no, that's a good soundbite. I may have to use that when we promote this episode, because I do like that. What you just said, man, applies to any business. It doesn't have to be security. It's like any business that you're running. If you have employees, or even if it's just you representing your business, how you talk to people, how you treat people, how you present yourself, both, in the words you speak and, what you say, your character, all that stuff. it can go a long way for people. You know what I mean? And I'm sure that's why
Oh
you've been
yeah.
in business for so long, is because you have that mentality. And I'm just, from the sense that I'm getting from you is that you do place people first. You know what I mean? So obviously your job is to help protect people and their things and their property. So
Right.
I imagine, I don't know if that's the mindset that you have when you started this business as far as wanting to help people, but to me it seems like that's a focus for you.
Yeah, it is. And I like it because, I mean, helping others, to me, that's huge. Um, it goes a long way. Help, I think, especially in business too. I mean, you help people out, it goes a long way. And then people pay it forward, or they'll pay it back, and in mysterious ways. But I think it's always helpful. It's good.
Oh yeah, and I feel like the people who, maybe I'm not gonna say the most successful, because I'm sure there's a ton of people that are really successful that are super selfish and don't put others first. But I do think that when you put the customer first, when you put people first, and you have their best interest in mind, like I think people are always going to want to support those businesses and support those ventures because
Right.
they see it. That stuff comes through. You know what I mean? If you're just all about the money and that's all that matters,
Yeah.
then and obviously that's a big part of business. Like you start business to make money and do
Yeah. You
really
want to
well.
make money. Right.
Yeah, but like if it's just about the money and there's no concern for the people, especially in a business like yours where protecting people is the main thing, it's not going to go very far. So obviously, man, that's why I would guess that's why you've been in business for so long. So we
Right.
love hearing that, and we love like having people on this show that are doing things like that, because that's why we call it Connectable, man. We're trying to get connected to as many people as
Absolutely.
possible, and people are doing great things. So um,
Yeah.
we definitely appreciate it, man. I got two more questions for you. One's dumb, and then one we'll end with. But again, I don't know if you can share this, but what's like the craziest story that you have from the security game, where it's just like, whether it was something you were involved with or something like a story that came back to you, it's like, what is going on? Like, what kind of world are we living in right now? Like, what's some of the craziest thing that you can share that's happened in your years of doing this?
Um,
See, I
this
feel
was
like,
when I was young. This was
sorry,
when
I feel like right now that pause is like you're like cycling through all the stuff that you can't say.
yeah, I was working at an area years ago. This was when I was younger.
Yeah.
And I was actually working in the field, and a guy got shot in the nuts. That
There's my
yeah,
sound bite. Here we go.
he got shot in the nuts, and
Okay.
it was just painful to see him get shot. I mean, I was like right by him, and to see him laying on the ground and us responding to this call, and this is a high crime area, so to
Okay.
see that happen, that was kind of crazy. But
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, we deal with a lot of. I mean, at one of our properties, just 2 weeks ago, we had someone, a homeless guy. Um, I guess he was all whacked out. He went into a shopping center, I won't mention where, but he went into the roof and like caused all kinds of damage, or in the
Oh,
attic of this big shopping center.
yeah.
Anyways, so we tried to get him out of there, and he wouldn't come out. So he did a standoff with the police department for like 3 hours.
No
They had
way.
like, oh, it was crazy. Yeah, I can shoot you some pictures if you want of the guy.
Sure.
His head, this guy's head's coming out. He's peeking out, and then they had him at gunpoint. It's just like, it was crazy. And then my officer took some pictures of when he was on the roof of all the police department. It was just like red, white, and blue. What do you call it? Lights
Yeah,
just
yeah.
throughout the whole shopping center. It was crazy. They had an ambulance, fire department there, ambulance there. Just, I mean, for
Wow.
this guy, I guess he was all. Oh, and he came out naked. So I got
Eh,
the video of that too. So they had him covered up with like a blanket as he was coming down the stairs. But it was like, I mean,
Jeez.
that's the world we live in now. It's just
Sure.
it's
It's
kind of
wild.
messed up. Yeah, it's wild. So we do get a lot of that. Um, with activity all over,
Sure.
all
So
over in these areas.
I'm sorry. I'm immature. I've got to go back to the guy getting shot in the nuts. So did you actually see him get shot?
He was right by. I didn't see him get shot. I seen him go down.
Okay.
It was in a dark area, but I
Okay.
responded to that after the shots fired cleared, and this was at an apartment community, a high crime area.
Sure.
So there was like shots fired all the time there, and we don't really do any high crime areas anymore. But this was years ago. But when I responded, he's laying on the ground, and he took a round through his nuts. I mean, like right through his nuts. It was, yeah.
Geez.
So that's the kind of stuff that, it's not police officer stuff, but it's,
Yeah.
we've seen some wild stuff.
Well, it doesn't get much more wild than that. That's pretty crazy. I'm trying to imagine the sound that man would make in that moment.
Oh,
I
yeah.
can't
He
imagine
was
it was
screaming like a
pterodactyl.
Like a baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like,
it
is
was
there like a wild bird out here? No. Down the street, some dude got shot in the nuts. He's just laying on the ground, writhing in pain.
Bad.
Jeez.
Oh yeah.
That's crazy.
Bleeding all over. Yeah, it was bad.
And that's game over too. Like I can't imagine you can't come back from that, right? Like
I don't know.
I'm gonna say no. We're gonna
you can't install a fake nut.
Maybe I guess
sorry, you could take that out.
That's not, we don't take that kind of stuff out. Absolutely not. That's staying in. So yeah. So if anybody knows the guy who got shot, let us know. How's he doing? How's life going now? Man,
how's all one nut?
Yeah, yeah, it's one nut. It's probably walking a little funny, a little like leaning to one side. Yeah, it's a different, crazy things, man. So anyways, I'm glad I asked that question. So
yeah,
we'll end on this last thing and then we'll get you out of here, man, because we've already taken up enough of your time tonight. So
you're fine.
At the end of every podcast, we always like to ask our guests for one or two connection suggestions. Like I said earlier, that's basically a person, a brand, organization, could be like a local restaurant, something or someone that you feel like we should be in the know about and that we should start following on social media and all that stuff. So what are some things you suggest for us?
I can suggest, now, does it have to be local?
No, it can be whatever you want.
I can suggest a new business. It's a buddy of mine that him and his wife are starting. Basically, they bought like some sort of horse trailer and they've converted it to a it's called Champagne Bungalow.
What?
You have to check it out on Instagram. It's pretty cool because I guess you can take it to events and serve champagne, and it's all nice set up inside, like you can sit inside there. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's got like a bar on, like the thing opens up on the side like a horse's thing.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. So, and I think they just started it. I talk to the guy pretty often, but and they've been like advertising it on Instagram, and so
sorry, is it called Champagne Bungalow? Or what's the name of it?
Champagne Bunghole. Bungalow. Yeah.
Hey, that's you. Hey, we'll tag both those things and see what pops up.
No. Champagne Bungalow.
Imagine Champagne Bungalow. Hey, that
Bungalow.
That might be the soundbite right there. I don't know how much you want me to put out there, but that might be it.
No.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Champagne Bungalow. I think it's a pretty good idea that they got. It looks. I was impressed when he put it on there, and he goes, "Yeah, we started this new venture, and we bought this. I think it's a horse trailer.
Yeah,
and we've converted it. I spent time. I set it all up. We finally did it.
That's awesome.
It's it looks pretty. Like they can use them at weddings or like private events.
Cool. And I'm sorry, did you mention where are they located or where are they based out of?
I think it's based out of here, Sac County.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
So the majority of our listeners, if you're interested in that and booking that, check them out on Instagram or Facebook or all those places, and they're local. So that's awesome. Cool.
Yeah. Champagne Bungalow. It's pretty cool. The guy's, I'm a good friend. He fishes also. His wife is super nice.
Cool.
Yeah. Good people.
Awesome, man. Love it. So we will definitely give them a follow and make sure you guys do the same thing. Where can they follow you? Your business, your own personal site. So that way when you catch that 10-pounder, we can all, give you a couple of clapping emojis.
Yeah. They might wait a while, dude. It might be like 5 years or so.
I'm gonna say 5 weeks. I'll say 5 weeks.
Oh, really? Okay.
I don't know.
Have to go after it.
I have no idea. I just have that much confidence in you, man. I could be way off on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. If it's not 5 weeks, just don't tell me. just forget I ever said it. It's like,
well, we lose touch. Never talk to you.
It's like, I guess it wasn't 5 weeks. Yeah. I was wrong. I put too much pressure on him. It was my fault. What if you quit because of that? I'm like, 5 weeks, and then you're just like, you know what I mean? So discouraged as it just breaks you. I was
quick
like,
fish, you sold the boat.
Yeah. And I was like, oh man, I had to tell Deb. It's like, yeah, Jim was a cool dude, but I think I made a mistake and I just broke him. I just crushed his passion for fishing.
You probably did. No, you're good. You're good. Anyway, no worries.
All right, good.
I'm going to shoot for that though. I'm going to try.
Hey, do it, man. If you do it, then we can all celebrate for you.
Yeah. At Jim Vretzos Fishing is my personal page. And then Greater Bay Protective.
Perfect.
At Instagram and Facebook.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then obviously the websites attached to your Instagram and all that stuff. So if you guys are looking for some security services, or if you want to upgrade because you guys don't want the guy who's just sitting in the corner eating donuts all day.
Negative. Yeah.
Talk to them. Talk to Jim, because he'll hook you up with someone that's a little bit more
and we're always hiring too.
Oh, perfect.
Always hiring. Yeah, we're always looking for good people that can stay with us for a while, and if they want to advance to becoming a police officer, like those pre-time areas or times where they're going through the academy and they need part-time work, or people that are retired, like retired officers as well. So we're always looking to find qualified people.
Perfect. Do you get a lot of military guys too that are maybe
we do get a lot of military guys
that serve their time and then are looking for work?
Yeah, and then they want to do something not too advanced. And a matter of fact, the guy that works for me, he's worked for me for since '95. He was like my second employee. He still works for me. He was retired military.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So if you guys hear that, and you guys, whether you're interested or if you know someone that's interested, reach out and give Jim a follow, not just on his own personal page, but also the Greater Bay Protective Services page, and reach out. That sounds like it'd be a good opportunity for sure, especially right now with people, so many people having lost their jobs and stuff like that. Like this would be a good time to reach out for sure. So hey man, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for answering all my dumb questions. I'm gonna try.
They weren't dumb.
How perfect.
I appreciate you guys having me on here.
Yeah, man.
I enjoyed it.
It was fun for sure. Yeah, it was definitely
absolutely
fun. I feel like I learned a lot about something I'll probably never do. I'm gonna be honest with you. I probably won't do it, but it's cool. Now if I'm ever in a conversation where someone's talking about angling and bass fish, I can throw out a little bit, a few nuggets here and there to seem like I can see the conversation. And then usually that works out for a little while, and then I get caught. They're like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He knows someone that does this stuff, but has no clue. And he's basically,
if you ever want to go, hit me up. We can go.
Okay.
Anytime.
All right. I may have to.
Yeah, absolutely.
I may have to mention that to Deb. We could take this podcast on the road. All right.
Hey, whenever you want.
Maybe. You know what? She's not invited. She missed this episode. She misses out on the fishing.
Yeah, tell
trip.
Deb.
Sorry, Deb.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Deb's nice, but she just, flaked on us. Not a big deal. All right. Anyway, that's not your problem, man. That's my problem with my co-host. So anyways.
It's all right. No worries. We miss her.
You do. I don't. So anyways, Jim, man, thank you so much for joining us. This was fun, and good luck with everything that you got coming up, next tournaments, all that stuff. And
thank you. I appreciate it.
Later. Yeah, man.
You
Absolutely.
bet. Have a good night, guys.
All right, take care. Thanks for watching the show. If you enjoyed that episode, make sure you like it, share it, and hit the subscribe button to get a new episode every week. We'll see you next time on the Connectable Podcast.